You have probably done a dance workout at some point in your life, haven't you? Maybe a Zumba class, or just blasting music in your kitchen and moving around till you are out of breath. You think, this feels good, it's exercise. Nobody has ever died from it, right? Well, almost nobody. In the summer of 1518, in a city called Strasbourg, a woman walked into the street and started dancing. There was no music, no party, nobody was forcing her to. She just started dancing and didn't stop. Not for an hour, not for a day. She danced for almost a week straight until her feet were bleeding and she had basically collapsed from exhaustion. And if that is where it ended, it would have just been a strange, sad footnote. But it's not the whole story, as other people started joining her. Within a month, historical records say somewhere between 50 and 400 people were dancing in the streets of Strasbourg. Same as her. No music, no visible reason anyone could point to, just dancing non-stop for days at a time until their body gave out. Even the city's own doctors got involved. And their solution genuinely made things worse. The physicians at the time believed that dancing was caused by hot blood and that the cure was to let the dancers keep dancing until the fever burned itself out. So the city actually built a wooden stage, hired musicians, and brought in professional dancers to keep the afflicted company, turning a medical crisis into a public event, basically hoping it would dance itself to death. Of course, this didn't work. People kept dropping. Historical accounts from the time claimed that at the peak of the plague, as many as 15 people a day were dying from strokes, heart attack, or just collapsing after days without rest or water. Here's the thing, Strasbourg in 1518 wasn't even the first time this had happened. There are records of similar dancing outbreaks going back over a century earlier. In 1374, spreading along the Rhine River, through towns in what's now Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands. Whole groups of people dancing wildly through the streets for days, screaming, and some of them foaming at the mouth until they basically couldn't anymore. It happened again in smaller pockets throughout the 1400s. By the time it hit Strasbourg, dancing plagues were already a known, if rare, phenomenon, which somehow makes the whole thing creepier. So what actually caused it? Here is the part where historians still argue. One theory is ergot poisoning. Ergot is a mold that grows on damp rye, and rye bread was a dietary staple at the time. Ergot contains compounds that are chemically related to LSD, and eating enough of it can cause hallucinations, muscle spasms, and convulsions. It's a decent theory. The problem is, ergot poison usually causes people to lose control of their limbs violently, not perform hours of coordinated, sustained dancing. So that theory doesn't quite fit. The other leading theory, and the one historians actually favor now, is something called mass psychogenic illness. Basically, stress so severe it manifests as physical symptoms and spreads through a community, the same way rumors do. And in 1518, Strasbourg had plenty of stress to go around. Famine, disease outbreak, brutal taxation, a local superstition claiming that a Christian saint, Saint Vitus, had the power to cause people with uncontrollable dancing if they angered him. That superstition matters more than it sounds like it should. If entire communities genuinely believe a cause can make you dance yourself to death, and you are already exhausted, malnourished, and terrified, your mind has a very specific script to reach for when it breaks. Some historians think the dancers weren't faking it and weren't hallucinating either. They think it was something closer to a sheer trance, triggered by fear, spread by watching each other, and reinforced by literally everyone around them expecting it to happen. Eventually, the authorities changed strategies entirely. Instead of encouraging the dancers, they banned public music and dancing outright, and shipped the remaining afflicted off to a shrine dedicated to Saint Vitus for what was essentially an exorcism. And for whatever reason, that's roughly when the outbreak finally faded out. Nobody knows exactly how many people died. Estimates range from a handful to several dozens, depending on which historical account you trust. And the records from this period are shaky at best. What we do have is a stack of independent contemporary sources, including physicians' notes, city council records, all describing the same basic event. So this isn't some medieval urban legend that got exaggerated over time. Something genuinely happened in Strasbourg in the summer of 1518, and 500 years later, we still don't have a clean explanation for it. And in fairness, that's probably the most unsettling part of the whole story. We like to think that mysteries like this get solved eventually, given enough time and modern science. But the dancing plague has had 5 centuries of doctors, historians, and researchers picking it apart. And the honest answer is still, we are not completely sure. No virus, no toxin anyone's fully confirmed. Just a city full of stressed, hungry, and superstitious people who apparently dance themselves into the history books. So the next time you're at a dance class, or just having a solo kitchen dance party, spare a thought for the hundreds of people in Strasbourg who couldn't stop dancing. That's the story. See you next time. Like and subscribe.